Welcome to Improve Your English Writing. This is video number 4, which is the third part in a three-part series on essential grammar. This video will cover prepositional phrases, verbal phrases, an essential sentence element, and a non-essential sentence element. If you want to get notifications for the videos, please click subscribe. If you like the video, please hit like and check out links to books and videos in the description. So prepositional phrases. So it's just as a reminder, a clause is a group of related words containing a subject and a predicate, and a phrase is a group of related words without a subject, a verb, or both. So a prepositional phrase is a phrase that begins with a preposition that functions as an adjective or adverb. The main takeaway is that it begins with a preposition, and it's a phrase. So common prepositions are all those. You can read through them. The most common word is of. If you want to stop the video and read through them a couple times, it's great. The book has a list of probably more prepositions, or just Google those on the internet and you can get a whole list of them. So here's an example. The book on the table is worth $100. On is a preposition. So, and the prepositional phrase is on the table, and it's functioning as an adjective because on the table is describing book. The example is he ran around the corner. Around is a preposition. The prepositional phrase is around the corner. Around the corner is describing ran. Therefore, it's functioning as an adverb. Verbal phrase. A verbal phrase is a phrase beginning with a word that ends with, ing, ed, or it's a to plus infinitive verb, so like to run. So hopefully basically it starts with a verb. The verb is going to end in ing, ed, or the verb is going to be an infinitive starting with to, something like to run. And it can function as an adjective, noun, or adverb. So the most important part is maybe not determining how they function, which will help you understand the sentence better, but recognizing the verbal. Remember, you need to identify a verbal phrase. So here's a verbal phrase. So shopping for clothes. This is the verbal phrase. It starts with a verb. Starts with a verb ending in ing. Shopping for clothes is relaxing after a long day. The next example is here's a verbal phrase, determined to pass the typing test. So here's the verbal phrases, determined to pass the typing test. It starts with a verb that ends in ed. So determined to pass the typing test, the student planned many hours of practice. This is a verbal phrase. And Anthony designs all city parks to ensure efficient use of space. So to ensure efficient use of space is a verbal phrase. And the verbal phrase starts with a to infinitive verb. So those are examples of the verbal phrases. So, and a test for a verbal phrase, because maybe you're not too sure if it's a verbal phrase. Maybe you're thinking, oh, it's part of the verb of the sentence. Well, here's a test for a verbal phrase. Is to test for a verbal phrase, change the sentence tense from present to past or past to present. If the verb tense does not need to be changed, the phrase is a verbal phrase. Basically, verbal phrases do not change tense when you change the tense of the sentence from past to present or present to past. So we're using this example, shopping for clothes is relaxing after a long day. Now we know this is already a verbal phrase, but let's go through the test. Maybe I should use an example where we don't know, but we do know the answer here. So if we're going to change it to past tense, I did highlight the verb. So if we were to change this to past tense, you would say, so shopping for clothes is relaxing. If you want to change that to past tense, you'd say shopping for clothes was relaxing after a long day. So you don't change the tense of shopping. but you did change the tense of this verb. So since we didn't change the tense of the verb, we definitely know shopping for clothes is a verbal phrase. So let's move on to essential and non-essential elements. What is an essential element in a sentence? So an essential element, also called a restrictive element, is a word, phrase, or clause that is essential to the meaning of the sentence. It defines or restricts the meaning of the word it modifies. Thus the word essential. So essential element does get its name because it's essential to the meaning. So in the fundamental rule of punctuation, because this will become important, because remember we want to write correct sentences, is that an essential element is never separated with punctuation. We'll find the exact opposite for a non-essential element, but the fundamental punctuation, I should say a fundamental punctuation rule is never separate an essential element with punctuation. So here are some examples. My cousin, who arrived from Idaho, is visiting me through the weekend. Here we have this essential, or is this an essential element? I say it is, because this clause here defines which cousin. We don't know. This person or if this person only had one cousin, then it would be non-essential. So, but I assume this person has more than one cousin, and maybe they live in different states. So this phrase here is defining which cousin. So therefore it is essential. Next example is I got the flu before I was involved in the car accident. Here, this element, this dependent clause here defines I got the flu. Or you can sort of say, which flu, because I assume this person's had more than one flu in their life. So it was the flu before the car accident. Who knows? Maybe this person was talking about a flu 5 years ago or something. So effectively, this is an essential element because it's defining, it's really limiting this independent clause, or you can sort of say, shorthand wise, it's defining which flu. So now let's move to a non-essential element. So a non-essential element is a word, phrase, or clause that is not essential to the meaning of the sentence. So essential is essential to the meaning. Non-essential, also called a non-restrictive, maybe I should put that here. A non-essential element, also called non-restrictive, is not essential to the meaning of the sentence. It only adds information. It could be removed from the sentence without affecting the meaning, believe it or not. So the non-essential, not essential to the meaning, and it only adds information. And I do want to say sometimes the distinction between an essential and non-essential element is insignificant or difficult to determine. I know sometimes I am using isolated sentences and you don't have the full context, but it could be sometimes difficult to determine if something is essential or non-essential, or the author is making it essential and non-essential. So the fundamental rule is a non-essential element is always separated with punctuation from the sentence. So that's, if you don't know, so that way when you see these examples and you wonder why there's commas or something, that's the reason why. So if you're wondering why doesn't that take a comma or this one does, is that's the fundamental punctuation rule, is that a non-essential element is always separated with punctuation. So just some examples is my Mary, who is my cousin from Idaho, is visiting me through the weekend. The relative clause only adds information, mainly because it does not define Mary, who's probably known from the context. So we're probably pretty sure if we're reading this sentence in context that we knew who Mary was. So since we know who Mary is, there's no way that this relative clause is going to limit or define who Mary is. Therefore, it's only adding information. and therefore it's non-essential. Therefore, it's separated with punctuation. I lost my job last Tuesday before I was involved in the car accident. So this dependent clause here, before I was involved in the car accident, is only adding information because it doesn't define last Tuesday. We know what last Tuesday is. There's no way this can be limiting last Tuesday. Now, I got to say, most people would write this without the commas. Well, since it is non-essential, and we know the fundamental rule is you separate it with punctuation, most people would probably write this without the comma. And I would myself probably write it without the comma, even though technically it is non-essential and needs a comma. But what we're really concentrating on here is that it's non-essential because this dependent clause does not define last Tuesday. So here's a test of non-essential for essential and non-essential. And if you think about it, it's just really when you remove it from the sentence, when you remove the element from the sentence, does it affect the meaning? So here's our first example. Kathy in my English class is from China. So is in my English class an essential or non-essential element? Well, let's remove it from the sentence. Kathy is from China. I would say the fundamental concept or idea or the meaning of the sentence has not been modified or changed. Kathy in my English class is from China. Now this does assume conclusion is the element is probably non-essential because it only adds information. We probably know who Kathy is from the context. Next example is the students in my English class are from China. So is this element essential or non-essential? So let's remove the element. The students are from China. Did we change the meaning of the sentence? And I'm going to say yes, because the sentence was about the students in the English class. If we remove this important factor of in the English class, we could be talking about all students. So the students are from China. Well, the sentence here, when it's been removed, is, I would say, more general about all students than just the limiting factor of the students in the English class. Therefore, I say it is essential, and it would not require punctuation. So I should say, maybe coming back up to this one, I'd say, and I didn't do it, but since this is not essential, you'd say Kathy, comma, in my English class, comma, is from China. And then this one would read the students, no punctuation in my English class, no punctuation, are from China. But that's the test for essential, non-essential. Basically, remove it, see if the meaning changed, and then you could tell if the meaning changed, it's essential. If it didn't change, it's non-essential. So that's it for this video. If we want to receive notifications for videos in the series, please click subscribe. If you like the video, please hit like, and check out links to books and videos in the description. Thank you.